Hey, this is Christine, your DIY craftaholic. Welcome to my awesome subscribers. If you are a visitor to my channel today, thank you for stopping by. I am so happy to have you, and after today, you're considered family. So please consider subscribing. Without further ado, let's jump into the video. For this DIY, I'll be using one of Dollar Tree's wooden crate as well as four of their wooden planks. I'm also using a paint stir stick. This I got from Lowe's and I cut that in two. I laid them down using a L square to make sure they were level. 3 small wooden blocks or squares, and that's just to make sure the spacing was also even. I then eyeballed where to place the crate and then just use some painter's tape to cover where I didn't want to paint. Then I measured about 2.5 inches inward on the plank and placed a wooden strip down. I placed the crate down just to make sure it was even before I started gluing. Here I am using Dollar Tree wood glue, and this is for longer hold, as well as some hot glue which would hold it quickly. And then after I glued that, I then used clamps to hold the wood pieces in place to make sure it bonded properly. And now I'm going to be painting the crate. I'll be using Apple Barrel white acrylic paint to paint both outside and the inside. But before I did that, I used a piece of the painter's tape to cover the areas that will be bonded to the plank. And that's just to make sure that I don't get any paint on that area. And I actually gave it 1 coat of paint. And then now it's time to paint the plank. So I painted that and set that aside to dry as well. Here I just typed up and printed out these words: farm fresh pumpkins. I've used this no cricket technique before. You can check out that video in the card above. Here I just lay them down on the cutting mat, and I'm going to be cutting out the words, leaving about 1/2 inch on each side. I then use pieces of packing tape to cover the word, just to make sure that it lays flat over the word. Then you submerge that in a dish of water. You're gonna do this for all the words and let that soak for about 5 minutes. Now we're ready to decorate or plant our. Here I'm removing the word from the water and just drying the back side of it on a piece of paper towel. Then after you're going to remove the paper, you can use your finger or something with a smooth edge. And just make sure not to rub too hard because you don't want the word to come off. And once you've gotten off all the paper, trim down your tape to your liking, and then place that on top of the surface. Make sure that it's even before you actually start smoothing it out. The ink is soaked into the tape, so it will not transfer. This is not a transfer tape, so you have to leave it on. So tape it onto the surface as is and you'll be fine. And you do that same procedure for all the other words. And now it's time to add that to our crate. Now remove the painter's tape from both the crate and the wood plank. Then you're going to add some wood glue as well as hot glue, and making sure that it's even before you glue that down. I then took one of these chalkboard tags from the Dollar Tree, removed the clip from behind it, and then glued that in the center of the crate. I also used one of their chalkboard marker to write the word 10 cents. My pumpkins are going for 10 cents a piece. How about that? I'll be using some of these clip pumpkins from the Dollar Tree, place them on some skewers, I use Waverly Chalk paint in Ivory and Apple Barrel's Pumpkin Orange and Tuscan Teal. And this is what we have after they are painted. Now it's time to add them to the crate. I placed a piece of Floral Foam in the center. And I tried to use some raffia, but that was too coarse, so I abandoned that idea. I then placed some dried moss on the top. I trimmed down the skewers on the pumpkin and stuck those on the inside. And then to add just a little bit more pop of color, I placed some of the maple leaves in between the pumpkins, green and orange. And then selected 3 of the leaves, red, yellow and green, which I'm going to be placing to the top left hand corner. But then I remembered that I needed to put some Mod Podge on, so I did that. And after I did that, I allowed it to dry and then I glued the leaves on. Nothing like adding a little bow for extra cuteness. So I made a small bow and glued that on in the center of the leaves, and then just stuck the stem, the pumpkin stems back into the pumpkins. Added a string at the back so it could also be hung if I needed it to, and we're done. So there you have it, guys. If you like content like this, please consider subscribing to my channel by hitting that subscription button and that notification bell so YouTube notifies you whenever I upload a new video. And to keep watching, I recommend this video right here and this playlist. And stay safe until next time. Bye.